when I first came into the team in '92, it's a long time from now. Although I'm not that old, I came in '92, so I realized that we had very good individuals. And I went on the tour of 1992 for 4 months in Australia, and I just want to tell Madam that I just played one game in 4 months. So I was actually touring Australia and seeing all the beautiful places without playing a game. And I realized that in a team which had such great individual players, you talk about Shastri, you talk about Vengsaka, Tendulkar, Manjareka, Kapil Dev, Manoj Prabhakar, Anil Kumble, and then at the end of the series, you saw the scoreboard 5-0. And you sit down and think, how is this possible? When you have so much talent, so much ability, why is it that we don't transfer into performance? So when I became captain, my first goal was to make sure that, I recognize match-winning performances. It may not be 100, it may not be a 5 wickets, but it could be a wicket at the right time. It could be a 20 ball 30 coming in at number 7. Because that's very important in a team to bring the culture of winning. That what's more important is winning games rather than having big scores at the end of the day. And also one thing I realized that, when I first came in 1996, I was under immense pressure. I knew that if I hadn't got runs in 2 test matches or 1 test match, I may not have played again. Luckily, God was kind. Probably I was destined to play for India. I got through that first hurdle as a player when I got 100 on debut at Lords. But then I made sure that if ever, any day I become the captain of this team or I get a leadership role in this squad, I'll have to take this pressure off players. My theory was simple, that I will identify the right talent. It may take a few months more rather than just picking someone on the basis of one performance. But once I pick that talent, he's got to get an opportunity for 10 test matches. And the reason for that was, I never wanted him to walk out to bat worrying about his place. All he wanted to think about was that cricket ball which was coming from the other end. He did not have to think that if I would lose, if I would get out, which everybody can because it's just a 1-ball game. So he had to go into that mindset of not worrying what the captain's thinking, what the selectors think about him, and what happens if he fails. The biggest problem in anybody's life, whether it's a sportsman or the field from where madams come in, for all of us, we all go through our tough times, our examination times, or the crunch moments in our life where we have to deliver. I never wanted a player to feel that what happens if I fail. I think that's the biggest drawback in anybody's development, and over the years I've seen a lot of good cricketers not being able to showcase their talent, and thereby India not becoming a better team because of their fear. So a couple of years time or just finished, they still take a little bit of time to write it because they're still in the hangover of your entire playing career. You just finished, you've got to do other things and play IPL, so there's a lot of things to do for a cricketer. But I think at some stages you're right. Steve Waugh wrote a fantastic biography. You saw Freddie Flintoff, you saw Mark Taylor.
No, I mean Indian cricketers, specifically.
More specifically, I think we normally tend to avoid controversy. And it's no point, you asked me the question that why haven't you written a biography, and I finished 3 years now playing for India. It's just that I felt it's no point in writing if I can't write everything. And sometimes you're forced not to write everything because I don't want a front page photograph like it was this morning on Salman Rushdie in Times of India, that he's not allowed to enter the book festival. So I normally tend to keep away from it. But maybe at some stage I will do when I get a bit more time, because cricket has changed a lot over the years, and cricketers have changed a lot over the years. I've had the pleasure and honor of meeting Pataudi sir once or twice in his career, because he was a very reserved person, and we used to be on the road all the time. So from that point of view, maybe at some stage the autobiography will come, but I don't know when, because as I said, we get a lot of opportunities on TV, you get the IPL going, other forms of cricket you're still playing. Maybe slowly, once you get completely away from it, you start writing about it. But I always feel that a biography has to be a true reflection of everything, because the world needs to know what actually goes behind the scenes. Because you look at a Tendulkar or a Pataudi or a Gavaskar or a Dravid. You see the outside part of it, the good things. But that's only 25-30% of the story. Maybe for Pataudi was a bit different because we didn't have the opportunity to go to Paris and meet Sharmila Tagore. So for him it was probably a bit different. But for us, you actually see the 25% bit, in the rest 75% is completely different. You have your tough times on the field, the selectors are after you back, they're still tough as they used to be in Mr. Pataudi's days, and then the media, which has increased 100 times more than when the great man played. You just come for a book launch and you keep turning left, middle and right. So imagine when you're caught in Paris with another woman. So you've got to be careful. Jokes apart, maybe someday, hopefully you get to know the right things. And it's great to see a book on the legend. And it's not a biography, it's about what your teammates think about you, which is so important, because you may be criticized. Somebody might say you're the best in the world. Somebody might say you couldn't play the short ball, you couldn't play fast bowling. But it's what those people who write about you matter. And when the great Bishan Singh Bedi has spoken good about someone, he must be
about, whether he deserves it or it's about time or something. She was 85 and she went red in the face. She said, ever since Shute Banerjee's time, there has been discrimination. And we thought, we said, yes, whatever you say. And then another time with Shomitra, who's very rational, I said something again, somebody said, but after all, he's an icon, So I didn't hear a single Bengali who kind of supported this. So Bengal was.
No,
you can't say anything about Bengalis.
No, absolutely. And I think a serious revisionism of the Sourav Ganguly phase is going on. In fact, I'm doing a book myself on the Saurav.